Hey, Eagle fans! Your Statesboro Walmart is your one-stop shop for all your Georgia Southern football and game day needs. Pick up your GSU sports gear here. We have t-shirts, hats, tote bags, koozies, stadium bleacher seats, car spirit flags, wall pennants, beads, and more right here at the best prices in town. Also, don't forget we can handle all of your tailgating needs with our great food trays, baked goods, and fresh, high-quality meat, seafood, and chicken.
Walmart. Save money. Live better. Walmart.
On this week's show, we take a look back on a very disappointing season opening loss for the Georgia Southern Eagles on the road at West Virginia, and we look to see if the Eagles can rebound against a very tough team of Broncos coming down from Western Michigan to open up the home season at Paulson Stadium. All that and more as we welcome you inside the Eagles Nest.
Now let you know that they're blue, white. Eagles can't fight if they're blue.
And welcome inside the Eagles Nest. I'm your host, Josh Aubrey, being joined by the sports editor and Georgia Southern beat writer for the Statesboro Herald, Mike Anthony. And Mike, the Eagles opened up the season last week. The line had fluctuated a lot. We both had talked. We thought it might be a chance to be a lot closer than what a lot of people thought, and instead it ends up the first shutout in over 20 years. We weren't really sure about how Fabian Upshaw would do under center, and a lot of people have talked to both of us and said, well, how much would Kevin Ellison have meant had he played? Considering how Fabian looked, and nothing to take anything away from him, he's very talented, and in fact, he may be a faster runner and a better arm than what Kevin Ellison had, but the overwhelmingness of the first start being at a place like that, and the fact that he's used to being able to catch his breath a little before he comes in, was very evident there, I believe, on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that the West Virginia defense had a lot to do with it as well. Very fast, very athletic, and thanks to the 3 months of film study that their own coaches admitted to obsessing over during the offseason, they were very prepared. They seemed to do a great job of filling every gap. Upshaw, you mentioned the speed. He's got that. The one thing he doesn't have that Ellison has is about 20 fewer pounds. We talked to Coach Fritz before the game. He said if there was one thing he could give to Upshaw, it would be a little extra muscle. And I think we saw a little bit of that last weekend. A couple of holes that had Upshaw been able to get to it. We know he has the speed to make things happen in the open field. Unfortunately, not able to step through quite as many arm tackles as Ellison can. If you do that, not only does it get you more yards, it gets you into more manageable situations. And we saw that with that secondary for West Virginia, 3rd and long, it just wasn't going to happen for Georgia Southern. Forced to make too many passes into a very good secondary, and they end up getting burned for 4 interceptions.
And there's something to be said for being able to rotate a quarterback in here or there to be able to talk to the other guy, because there's a lot of games we saw where they might get stopped on the first drive and the second drive, and then they'll let Fabian go in for a drive, bring Kevin out, be a chance to talk to him, let Fabian get in there, get a little relaxed, and then maybe put Kevin back in. They weren't able to really do that with Vegas Harley, I don't believe. I don't think they had as much confidence in him as they do with Fabian on a typical day with Kevin Ellison.
And not only do the coaches get to be in their ear when they're on the sideline, they're in each other's ears. Upshaw and Ellison, they're roommates, they're friends, they get along really well. They say that they depend on each other, watching them out there to be able to tell them what they see, what they would do, even though Ellison gets the majority of the snaps, and he will again once he comes back in Game 3. That doesn't mean that he doesn't value what Upshaw sees out there, and same goes for when Upshaw's on the field. I really think that you have a point there that when both of them are on the field, both of them know exactly what it's like behind center during game action. That gives them even a little more insight than what the coaches can see from up in the box.
And let's not put it all on the quarterback. Obviously, West Virginia was a great team, and you can't, underemphasize enough, I guess, the fact that the Georgia Southern offensive line was almost totally new. Regardless of how good they are, it still takes a little time, and I think maybe we got a little spoiled by how quickly last year's offensive line adapted to the new schemes.
Definitely going to take a little while to get to that level, if they can get to that level. However, I don't think that the offensive line did a bad job in the West Virginia game. Maybe not an elite job, as you mentioned, that we were so used to seeing basically from Game 1 last season. There weren't really many blow-up plays. It's just that the Eagles could never get the big play. A couple of holes inside that the offensive line did a nice job giving LA Ramsby, Matt Breida, a little bit of room to run, but those 3 and 4 yards, as nice as they would be on a normal day, they don't work out nearly as well when you don't have the ability to get to the outside and bust those huge plays.
All right, well, we had a chance to talk with Coach Fritz and some of the players about the matchup with the Broncos.
Definitely just playing cleaner, no turnovers. Like Coach said, you can't win any games against anybody if you have 5 turnovers. So especially going to focus on playing clean this week and attacking and being physical. They're a very good opponent. I mean, they're as good as advertised. I mean, we didn't know they were going to be that fast, but definitely have a lot of speed and a lot of experience on the defensive side of the ball. Just overall, a very good football team.
All right, well, now you got a team that took a top 5 team down to the wire.
Yeah.
It sure doesn't get much easier when you got Western Michigan coming in.
Exactly, yeah, they're a very good football team as well. A little bit more of what we're used to with that 4-2 defense, so hopefully we can attack them, keep them base, and get at their weaknesses.
We put it behind us yesterday. We're not worried about that anymore, and we know we have a very high-quality opponent coming in here, and we're super excited to be back in front of the greatest fans in America at Paulson Stadium. I mean, if you can't get pumped up for that, then something's wrong with you. So we're excited. Moved on from that, and we're ready to go.
4-point underdogs. It's rare that Georgia Southern's an underdog. Do you guys kind of take that as a challenge?
That's the first I've heard that. I mean, the preparation's not going to be any different. We know they're a great opponent. We feel like we're pretty decent ourselves. Being at home, we feel like that's going to be a big advantage for us. Playing in the heat down here in South Georgia, and so we're excited about that. But we're going to prepare no matter what the underdog or favorite are.
Well, we take every game as a challenge, and of course we're taking a challenge. Every game last year we were picked to lose, so it's the same this year. We're going to go face this game just like we faced West Virginia, just like we'll face any team in the Sun Belt and any team after that.
Do you feel like the team's got a little chip on their shoulder now after last week, or is it just business as usual?
Of course we have a chip on our shoulder. We didn't want to look bad like we did last week, but we're going to come out and work even harder this week in practicing. Come out there to play Saturday.
Yeah, we got a big chip on our shoulder. It was really sad that we didn't get to score any points at all. Even a field goal or anything. So we're definitely looking out this weekend. Come out, get back to what we're used to doing and scoring some points.
It's rare that Georgia Southern's an underdog. They're a favorite coming in. Is that something else that kind of fuels the fire?
Oh yeah, definitely. Anytime Georgia Southern's an underdog, we want to go out there, prove, that we can play physical with that team, and just give them a run for their money.
This will be the best ball club that's come into Paulson Stadium in the history of Paulson Stadium. They played in a bowl game last year against Air Force. Played a couple touchdowns within Michigan State. So it's good team. We're going to have to play extremely well on Saturday.
What do you see from them that concerns you, and what do you think looks in your favor?
Well, on offense, our quarterback is really accurate. Good game manager, good guy throwing the ball down the field, making the right decisions. Really savvy competitor. They've got a big, strong back who rushed for a ton of yards last year. They've got a big-time receiver, one of the top 10 receivers in the country according to NFL, and good little inside receiver, huge on the offensive line. They'll be pretty close to the same size as what we saw last week against West Virginia. Defensively, they play good defense, tackle well, don't get out of position much, a little more four-man front, what we're accustomed to, a little closer to what we run at times as well, so our guys have seen that some. And then on the kicking game, they do all sorts of things. They're kind of, it's the flavor of the week. They try to confuse each week with a different scheme.
Last week we didn't do this, putting you on the spot now. We did this a lot in the past few years with Matt Yogas. Little predictions for the game coming up on Saturday. I'll start it off. In my opinion, Georgia Southern ekes one out with a field goal late. I know we didn't even get the kicking team on the field last week, and I know we've had some issues this week as far as who's going to be the kicker. I think a field goal late wins it for Georgia Southern.
No, I'm pretty much with you there. I think that Western Michigan is going to be hurt by the fact that they don't have all that lead time to prepare for the option offense. Coach Fleck said that they did spend a good amount of time watching film during the summer, but I don't think that they quite went to the lengths that West Virginia did, just walking through it, concentrating, eat, sleep, breathe, defending the option. They're not going to have that luxury. They've got about 4 days to prepare. You also account for the heat. I know that it gets joked about. I don't know how big of a factor it really is. I'm not on the field, at least not on the field in pads. But Western Michigan, the fact remains they've never come this far south, at least not in the last decade or so. They're not used to quite the heat and humidity. They've got to make it last for 4 quarters. I think the heat wearing thin on them, not being quite as prepared, and having a starting middle linebacker out for the game, I think that all wears on them in the final quarter. Georgia Southern wins this one by a touchdown.
All right, well, let's get into some other sports that are going on in the fall. We'll have soccer, men's and women's, and we also have volleyball. And volleyball did something that I'm sure football would like to take a little inspiration from when they take on Georgia later on this season.
Georgia hosting a tournament last weekend up in Athens, getting 4 Georgia teams involved: Kennesaw State, Georgia Tech, Georgia, and Georgia Southern. The Eagles not able to take down Georgia Tech or Kennesaw State, but you know that that's a big feather in their cap. Taking down Georgia, maybe it'll be like some other sports, and when you beat Georgia, they disappear from the schedule for about a decade. I know baseball's had that problem in the past. I'm sure football would have that same problem if it were to happen. But a good job there for the Eagles, and now they finally get to come back home to Hanner Fieldhouse, a new place for many of the Eagles as they had to take it to Statesboro last year. So injuries, playing away from home, even on their home games, that wore on this team last year, but now healthier. I know that they're ready to get back, finally play on their home floor as they open up home play with the tournament this weekend.
All right, and as for the men's and women's soccer team, each one has at least now had a victory. I believe they're 1-2 for the men.
1-2 for the men. And
1-3-1 for the women.
Right, and a big win. The ladies finally getting one in the win column this past weekend against Francis Marion. A 5-1 victory, 5 different Eagles scoring. You like to see that, including 3 getting their first goals of the season. So hopefully a stepping stone for them.
All right, well, that'll wrap things up for now. For Mike Anthony, I'm Josh Aubrey. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again next